No one really tries to be unsafe online.
Enter address for free tater tots.
But every time you give up info and privacy,
So I gave your birth date for free parking.
That's how I got this robe.
you may give up some safety too. Norton 360 with LifeLock has device security, a VPN for online privacy, and identity theft protection, all in one. No one can prevent all cybercrime or identity theft, but you can save 25% or more off your first year. Opt into cyber safety at norton.com/news.
It's Mattress Firm's biggest 4th of July sale ever. Hurry in and get a king bed for the price of a queen or a queen bed for the price of a twin. Plus, get a free adjustable base when you spend just $6.99 on Sealy. Or save $500 on all Tempur-Pedic Breeze mattresses. With our low price guarantee, you can rest assured you'll get the best bed at the best price, only at Mattress Firm. Offer valid with qualifying purchase. Restrictions apply. Valid at participating locations only. For offer details, visit mattressfirm.com/sale.
We're talking about podcasts. We're talking about itty bitty podcasts. A podcast.
Merry Mini Monday, Chunkies. I'm Carter.
I'm Doge.
And I'm Jordan.
We three are
Two chunks and a hunk.
Two chunks and a
podcast. That'll be the last time you ever hear that. That was an awful try. Guys, we're on episode 3. We are now halfway through
Yes.
Loki.
Wow.
Of the MCU Universe Disney Plus series Loki. Episode 3 is Lamentis.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels to me a bit more like even though we're kind of all over the place, it feels more like a one-act play.
Yeah.
Because it is major focus on, and I got to say, I pump big time just all the time that we have with Tom and Sophia, a.k.a. Loki and Sylvie.
Yep, I agree.
Yep.
I super pump Sophia DiMartino.
Hey, me
as
too.
Sylvie.
Yep.
Hey,
I
me
also
too.
do.
She's so good.
I like her a lot.
I do too.
And it feels so much like we are getting baited. We as the viewer are getting baited into, why would they use someone we've never really seen before to play a role like this? And then MCU gets to wink and say like,
because
you
just
see that
watch.
other guy though? You see Tom Hiddleston?
Yep.
You've done this before.
Yep.
Sylvie, their chemistry together.
I'm starting to think Tom just has chemistry.
But he does.
Tom the
But
chemist.
I think there's something about, there has to be some kind of self-awareness for Sophia DiMartino and the role that she knows that she's playing to have this much screen time with Tom. Is she not thinking about like, oh shoot, doesn't she feel like she needs to step up her game or something? And that's not a shot at her. It's just, I think she would know that we don't know her very well.
And we love Tom.
But she, at moments, is better. At moments, there are, in this episode specifically, that I'd be like, man, I'm kind of more interested in her right now than him.
Yeah.
And I can't remember the last time I had that on the screen with Loki before.
Right.
And just well done. Amazing casting.
I wonder if Tom, being the master chemist that he is, if one of his secret skill sets is elevating the performances of people around him.
Could be.
Because I feel like he's been doing that with Owen Wilson this whole show so far. He definitely did that with Sylvie in this episode. I would say he probably does that with his Ragnarok ensemble.
Yeah.
I think as Loki, he does a good job of playing second fiddle in a way that makes first fiddle even better than it could be. Yeah.
And I think, speaking of Owen, the weakest part of this episode is that there's no Mobius.
I can't believe they would do that to me.
It genuinely suffered, I think, this episode because of no Owen.
I don't know that I would say it suffered in the same way that maybe something else we will talk about soon suffered from the lack of a notable cast member. But yeah, I did miss him.
I think it
I
did.
hope he's doing
for
okay.
me. I think it felt like it was missing an ingredient of this show to me.
So was this one sort of a step? I mean, I know we don't rate the episodes, but it was a step down.
This is the weakest one so far to me.
I probably messed you up then because I told you it was my favorite episode of Marvel TV so far.
I went in with pretty high expectations and I thought the episode was good. I really did. I liked it. This was not like, where'd this bad episode come from? Like, it was still a great episode, but this is probably the weakest one of this season so far.
Jordan, I would tell you too, I don't know how much I've been attuned to just what the masses are saying about, because when you have shows like this MCU show, there's commentary on it immediately.
Sure. Yeah, everybody's
it's so
got
hard
opinions.
to even be out there. But it's kind of a popular opinion, I think, Jordan, of this being people saying this is their least favorite of the season, which means when you're just talking about Loki, though, that doesn't mean a lot because it's a lot of people's favorite shows.
I really enjoyed it.
If it's your least favorite of the season, it's still third place at this point too. So that's not bad.
I did read a thing where Hiddleston himself said that episodes 4 and 5 are his 2 favorite of the season.
Great.
So that's exciting.
I think, and we got to have the segment where I just talk about a bunch of wild stuff that's never going to happen.
Hey,
before we do that,
I was going to say, I think that what I'm thinking might be happening might be the reason Hiddleston is liking 4 and 5. We could talk about that later.
We'll talk about it in just a second. I was just going to say that Owen Wilson, Mobius, as a jet ski enthusiast and probably salesman in the 90s, all but confirmed in this episode with learning that all of the TVA employees are variants that had a life beforehand.
Yes. So that was our big reveal, right? Yep. It's so funny to be. It was not intentional, but so Chelsea and I are going through Lost right now, and we're in season 3 of Lost. And Lost was one of those shows that I remember for the first time being something that every week when you sit down to watch a new episode, something will be revealed, or not necessarily revealed, but another question will be posed of like, oh, what does this mean? And that's kind of what it hung its hat on.
Hungeth its hat on.
Hungeth its hat on.
Hanged its hooter on, I believe.
Oh, okay. But Loki feels like it kind of does that. The MCU universe, and knowing that it is a universe, right? The MCU universe, Marvel Cinematic Universe.
The
like
ATM machine.
ATM machine. But I got to say, so Chunkies, those of you that listen to our podcast, you might remember. If you don't, just pause right now. Go back and listen to the end of us talking about episode 2, the variant, and we all made guesses as to where these two were going to end up. Where was Sylvie going? And I was right.
You were.
Right
that
back
was
to
the first
TVA.
thought that I had. Yep.
And I watched it on Wednesday. So I was like, I don't even know if they watched it yet. even if I in Slack send like the eyeball looking to the right emoji, that feels like a spoiler to me. So I was like, I'm not going to do anything. But anytime that I get to call a shot with the, I feel like y'all can't see it, but also if you zoom in, whenever they show the timekeepers, there are also statues of Jordan and Doge. Yep. So it's like, I feel like if I ever call anything, I'm like, yes. But I can't remember what happens first, and I think that's a good thing about this show because it does kind of take us literally to new worlds at any second.
Yeah,
but I really enjoyed, and Doge, I think you're right in your massive speculations from last episode. How can this not be Enchantress at this point?
Yeah,
with the skill set that she has. But when we start, was the beginning of the episode with Sasha Lane with Hunter C20?
Yes.
And Sylvie,
the
when they're in this restaurant. Yeah. Having the margaritas. That was so interesting.
Yep. That was really good.
And it shows the depth as to which Sylvie can just mess you up.
Yeah.
Like just absolutely trick you. And I thought that was just such a cool way to start
Speaking of tricking, I have 2 theories about what's going on Lamentis at the end there.
Okay. I think they're probably what I've got too.
Okay. I just have 2 theories about how they're going to get out of this, essentially. And they're just theories at this point. I can't really point to a lot of evidence. It's just what I think is going to happen.
I think the planet's blowing up.
I think the planet's blowing up, so that's one of them.
Probably. I think I could tell that if you look in the background.
No, I think there's a good chance that Mobius is going to show up, having tracked them to another apocalypse and pull them at the last second.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'm not convinced that Loki is not tricking Sylvie in some way, whether or not
that's the one.
Whether or not maybe the thing isn't actually broken, the little like tablet isn't actually broken, and he's had it this whole time, and he just wanted to find out like what her whole deal is, or maybe none of this is actually happening. I don't know.
That's the one.
I think that there's just a couple of things. Loki's not an idiot, and I just don't see him getting drunk and ruining their only way off of this planet.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. That's mischief.
That would, production-wise, make such a smart payoff for having a full episode. It's like, hey, here's how good Loki is. He has even tricked you people watching this show. Well, maybe not because you guessed it, but I think that's a smart move.
Well, I think it's no accident that they're sitting down and he like gets her to lower her guard and it's like, so what do you call that? Enchanting. How do you do that?
Yes.
You just learned that yourself.
And she made a big deal about I don't fall asleep around people I don't trust. And then she fell asleep around him.
And then she fell asleep and woke up and everything's like slightly different.
Yep.
Yeah, and he's wearing his TVA outfit.
Yeah, he's putting her through.
Bad. Shouldn't you be doing that?
Putting her through a sort of crisis to basically get her to trust him completely, I think. And when I say this, I'm having flashbacks to 2 years ago. I think I was talking to both of you guys like, hey, the Battle of Winterfell is coming up. The Night King's not going to be there. The Night King won't be there because he will have flown south to King's Landing. They're going to enclose all the troops of men, and then it's going to be this final, and it just completely
Didn't happen
wasn't
that way. Yeah.
anything like that. So I'm almost afraid to be like, no, I promise you, it's this big, crazy reveal because it usually isn't.
That's a good point. That's a great point, actually.
I think it's Loki hasn't had a moment yet, a big one, to show that he's still in control. And I think that's what makes Loki Loki. And I think it would be disappointing if that moment didn't happen in this season because that feels like that is a character shift that shouldn't exist. Like Loki, in the beginning with his relationship with Mobius, we've seen several attempts at him to try and trick Mobius, but Mobius being the Loki expert is like, no, you can't do that to me. But I think if you have the long play, I think that's the long con is something that Loki would really want to do.
I'm so interested to know, like, what is Thor to Sylvie? Like in Sylvie's universe, is there a Thor analog?
Very good. That's a good question. I haven't even thought of that.
Yeah. I think Sylvie is notably pretty reticent with her answers about who she is and what her past is like. And I still think that's because she's not a Loki variant. I think she's fully Enchantress.
Yeah.
Created by a Loki.
Well,
and she might believe she is a Loki.
I wonder why they would be, because aren't they tracking her using DNA, and that's why they said that it's a Loki variant?
Yeah, but if Loki created her, you know what I mean? Like I think they're tracking Loki's like temporal energy,
right? Yeah,
right. And so if he created her as an extension of himself, then I think they might have the same. I mean, I think that could be hand waved away as like they have the same temporal energy because they came from the same magic source.
Yeah.
So like,
yeah, it's fair.
I think Loki is a character that is always looking out for himself. I think we know that. And I think something that's worth remembering in this entire show is that I am certain that production is, and Tom Hiddleston is aware that he is playing 2012 Loki the entire time.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't think just watching a video of the things that would make him the Loki that we knew 2 years ago is going to change him that quickly.
Right.
He is still very much someone who wants to rule the universe. And so I don't think we should be surprised if in the end it doesn't feel like he has learned much.
Sure.
Like if he's just a villain. Like, and I think that's okay. I think I wouldn't be upset with that.
No way.
Because that's really not what he's supposed to be. I have some speculations as to, because I think Loki feels like something we could have several seasons of.
Yeah.
Because if he's just kind of always adjacent over in the TVA or somehow, whether he needs the TVA anymore or not, he's taken off the training wheels of Mobius or whatever happens to them and has full control of the multiverse.
Yeah.
There's no reason we can't come back and just have him living alongside all these things. And I think
my guess is the whole TVA as a thing is not going to exist by the end of this show, because I really think that we're going to have some sort of resistance rebellion led by Loki. I think he's going to go tell all the employees like, hey, you're people. Like,
you're real.
Yeah. I think too, if it does exist, if the TVA does exist, it's split. I think there's definitely a revolution for sure, Jordan. I think if it exists, it looks nothing like it does right now. It's the people that are like, great, I have nothing else to do. This is all I've known. And Mobius could be on either side of that.
Now, That's a good point about Mobius. I just want him back. I just want more Mobius. My only exposure, I have no real exposure whatsoever to Doctor Who. My only quote unquote exposure to Doctor Who is the parody Inspector Spacetime created in Community. And yet this feels like the closest thing to Doctor Who that the MCU could ever make. The like traveling to different locales and time periods with like a partner and meddling in the affairs.
Yeah.
Now, somebody who's like a big Doctor Who fan is like, that is not what happens in that show. And that's fine. I don't know what happens in that
Then
show.
there's probably some Trekkies that are like, you mean Star Trek?
Yeah.
Star Trek does
not
that
their
too.
time so much, but yeah, I hear what you're saying. I
Yeah.
hear what you're saying.
Yeah, dude. Star Trek. Was it Star Trek the Motion Picture? Maybe Star Trek 3. They go back and save whales on Earth. Yeah,
Yep.
dude. They travel through time.
It's a good point. It's a good point.
Do we gotta leave a little space for somebody to play their ad right here?
It's funny that you bring
Is it
that up
time?
because normally I'm in charge of that. And the reason I'm in charge
Well,
of
I'm
that is
just
because you
curious.
just swung at it and missed it by about 2 minutes. But yeah, let's go early.
Oh, no.
Let's go right now. Let's go right now.
Get more out of summer with savings on appliances to simplify and streamline during the Home Depot's 4th of July savings. Give your laundry room an upgrade with big savings in-store and online on top appliances like LG high-efficiency top-load washers and dryers. Right now, you'll save a bundle. Celebrate summer with 4th of July savings at the Home Depot. How doers get more done. U.S. only, while supplies last, free delivery on purchases of $396 or more. Valid through July 14th.
No one really tries to be unsafe online,
Enter address for free tater tots.
but every time you give up info and privacy,
So I gave your birth date for free parking.
That's how I got this robe.
you may give up some safety too. Norton 360 with LifeLock has device security, a VPN for online privacy, and identity theft protection, all in one. No one can prevent all cybercrime or identity theft, but you can save 25% or more off your first year. Opt into cyber safety at norton.com/news.
Doge, last week we
Hope you guys
looked
liked
into
that
the bot.
ad more than whatever we were going to talk about there. Doge really wanted to go early, so
Doge, if you remember last week,
Mhm.
we opened the box a little bit to
Yes.
see what was in the box. Was there a couple more things in that
Ooh.
box? Is this something that is somewhat like the drawer at the TVA where we kind of pull that out and it's I kind of went back to that scene because I was like, is that, I mean, clearly those were Infinity Stones, but they could have easily put something a little more minuscule in
Sure.
that same drawer and I wouldn't have noticed because of all the Infinity Stones.
if he took
So let's go
one,
back.
if he took an Infinity Stone and put it in his pocket, would it have powers again once he left the TVA?
Only if he was in the reality that Infinity Stone was from.
Yeah. That makes sense.
So there's no way to know at that point. It's just, there's infinite realities.
Right.
Worth a shot.
That makes sense.
For those that might not know, what's in the box? If you're listening right now, you can contribute. And all you have to do is follow us on Instagram. Because every now and then on our Instagram story, we'll give you the opportunity just to ask us anything. And we're happy to answer that for you so that you get to know a little bit more about the 2021 variants of Two Chunks and a Hunk.
We do got some stuff. Do you want to ask me? Do you want to ask me what's in the
What's in the box?
this question?
What's in the box?
This question comes from Instagram user _Jacob Preston. And they're asking us, what are your predictions for phase 4 of the MCU? Now, this is a fine vintage. It's been aging in the box for just a bit, but I think now's probably an interesting time to talk about it. Halfway through Loki, we're 2 weeks away from the first theatrical Marvel experience anybody's had since Far From Home. What do we think is going down in phase 4 of the MCU?
Glad you asked. I have an answer. I suspect that we are going to get a smattering of different like localized events. So rather than like a race for the Infinity Stones that took place over a couple dozen basically movies, I think we're going to get a smattering of smaller events that eventually we're going to find are all tied to one main thing. And we're going to find out that we're a lot more interconnected in this phase than we actually thought we were. That's my guess.
Yeah, you're saying phase 4, while other phases have been the Super Bowl, essentially with the Infinity War, we're going into the Olympics now.
Yeah, but I don't think we're going to know that it's like if the Olympics had a finals where everybody... everybody.
Surprise! Now you all have to jump really high or something.
Yeah, or it's just like now it's just all the gold medalists have to fight to the death.
Yes.
So here's the thing. Here's the thing for me. I gotta keep one-upping myself with my crazy theories that are never gonna come true. So here's what I'm gonna say.
It's a tie into D2 the Mighty Ducks. Yes, I'm with you.
Yes, exactly. Emilio Estevez is Thanos 2. No, I think that we're gonna blow the doors open to the multiverse in episode 4 or 5 of the Loki show. And I think everything that's announced will continue to explode and exponentially increase the number of multiverses.
Like all the fruit carts in Inception.
Exactly. Which might lead not necessarily to a reboot or to anything like that, but just a sort of clean slate that I don't know that we could get any other way than like multiversal stuff. If you're a comics person, this probably sounds a lot like what DC does with their crisis events. When comics, when the continuity gets too tangled up, DC will often go, "Oh no, the multiverse is exploding,
They nuke it,
fragmenting,
and just start over
fracturing,
again."
whatever you want to call it. Something is happening to the multiverse, and so now Batman's 30 again, and Superman's not married this time, and it's just kind of like a little bit of a reset. I don't think we're going to get anything so drastic here, but it wouldn't surprise me if there was some sort of like Loki, the Tom Hiddleston that we know becomes king over the multiverse. And then Sylvie sort of fills that Loki role in our, I guess, more smaller localized movies. But I think, I don't know, you guys say it's going to be like the Olympics. I kind of think it's going to be like American Gladiator, where it's just like, hey, this is, what even is this? This is bananas. So
yeah, I love that. My prediction, would you say the first 3 phases of the MCU are the Infinity Saga?
Yeah.
Is that what that is essentially?
Yeah.
My prediction is, and not just due to inflation, but I would hang my hat on however many phases it takes. I think if we're to say 4, 5, and 6, if they like to do it by 3 phase to tie a bow on another massive saga, that this will make more money than the first 3 phases. And that might not seem like that big of a prediction, but it becomes a little more risky because we do have the beginning of this process happening during a pandemic, or at the echoes of a pandemic. And I really think what one of the main ingredients is going to be is we have seen by far, especially in a lot of the announcements and what we've even seen in shows, that this is going to be 300% more inclusive demographically with our heroes. You know, we went 15 years with white male protagonists in the MCU. And I just think it might have lasted too long before, we had, a Black Panther, things like that. But that's one of the things that I'm most excited about is it's going to be like not just the Two Chunks hosts get to go and sit there and be like, wow, I can, not a relatable, but being like,
see myself
wow,
there.
that could be me. Right. Yeah, I see myself there. It's going to be everybody. I love looking at the cast of the Immortals and just being like, cool. Or like 9 people that don't look hardly anything unless they are a Snow, don't look anything like, the first 3 phases of the MCU. And that really gets me excited.
Shang-Chi
and that is going to be
is our first, I believe, our first Asian American superhero. I mean, unless you count Wong, but he's not a titled card superhero.
Right. Exactly.
Sidekick.
Right. Because we weren't counting, the Falcon. Like we weren't doing any of that already.
But plus that second trailer looks so dope.
Abomination. We got Abomination in that from the Incredible Hulk. I never thought we'd get him back.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, I mean, we didn't really talk about it. I don't know if we've had much of a chance to yet, but Loki's confirmed as bisexual in the MCU, which is a huge part of his character in the comics. Love to see that actually brought into live action. I know the 3 of us, we're always talking about, hey, we love it when there are people who are...
I'm so sorry.
who are sneezing so loud. We love it when there are people who are not exactly like us that can also say, hey, this character is like me.
Right.
And that's awesome. That's never a bad thing.
And the more I thought about it, I don't think we ever saw any indication that Loki was attracted to anyone except for when he was posing as Odin getting fed grapes by the Asgardian women.
Yes.
Like that was the only time that it ever seemed like
that
Loki.
That is sort of a bummer. The kind of like you can be queer as long as you're sexless in like these kind of mainstream properties. That is something that's still sort of unfortunate that we need to move past. But
yeah, but
I mean, at least
how sexful is the rest of?
That's the thing.
MCU.
Like the MCU is so like phase 3. There's like 4 kisses at all in phase. Like it's just a really sexless
There's no time
franchise.
for kisses. We got stuff to
There's
do.
only punches, and that's because it's for the boys.
for the dogs.
It also, I think it took us a few years for even the MCU, which seems pretty self-aware and then culturally aware, to say, "Hey, why are these boobies out?"
Right? Yeah. No, you're totally right.
There was also a moment that's like, we don't have to do that.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we don't have to do that.
Black Widow doesn't have to unzip her little suit that far.
And people speaking up and being like, hey, technically, that's one of the things I love the most about Liz Olsen playing the Scarlet Witch is how much she's invested in that character. There's a lot of great articles about her sitting at home practicing spell, like because her hand movements need to be something, and thinking practically about how a costume should feel if she's able to fight in that. But she was one of the people to speak up and be like, "What? Okay, but why does my cleavage have to show?
Yeah,
how does that help me be intimidated?"
Like, imagine if Captain America was fighting in like pants with the crotch blown out. You know what I mean?
I was gonna say just
like a little
Captain,
just a little peekaboo crotch for Captain America.
He's Captain USA, and the A stands for assless chaps. Just full cheeks out all the time.
Do we have to bleep assless?
I'll probably just bleep the ass part of it. So they're going to hear sliss chaps.
Sliss chaps.
Good question.
Well,
and we sort of answered it and then talked about a bunch of other stuff too.
Thank you for the question.
We've
got time for one or maybe 2 if they're short.
Yeah, we got one more. Knowing us, probably one more is what we can aim for. This one comes from Instagram user @WillieNeatPictures. If you could have any movie star featured on your podcast, who'd it be? Easy answer for me is Vin Diesel.
Oh.
Not a joke. Not a joke. Like there's something about him, and I will talk about him more on our F9 episode. Are we calling that movie F9 or Fast 9 or Fast and Furious 9?
I'm doing what the title told me to.
F9?
And I think it's F9.
F9. We'll talk about him more in our F9 episode, but he's somebody that it started like ironic to me. Like, oh, isn't it funny to love Vin Diesel? But like, I actually genuinely, he's one of my favorite movie stars. And it's sort of embarrassing, but absolutely without a doubt on our podcast, if we could do it.
An obvious answer for me, just because I am, if I'm looking into like the success of our podcast and the future of that and going with the momentum, nothing would do that more than someone who has 400 million Instagram followers. So like The Rock is a clear answer for me.
Could we get them both
Dwayne
on?
Johnson.
What if we got them both on and we're like, help them squash their beef?
Ooh.
Dude, if we were the ones who helped them squash the beef, that would be phenomenal. If it wasn't The Rock, though, I'm going to cheat and do a couple of answers.
Okay.
And it's really unfair to Jordan if I end up taking one of his. But it would also be fun to have somebody like before they were big time. Yeah. Like we caught them just, I think we're too late for Florence Pugh unless we did it now before Black Widow.
I don't know. I think we're too late already.
13 days.
Yeah. So
we would have had to catch her before Little Women, I think.
What if we got our boy, I feel bad not remembering his name, Centineo?
Oh, Noah.
Oh, we could get Noah.
Noah Centineo.
Noah
That would be big.
Yeah.
I like that you're aiming for achievable. Like who's somebody that's small potatoes enough that they'd interact with our tiny potatoes.
Hey, guys, I don't think
might grow
Noah
to big
is
potatoes.
Achievable. He's busy.
He's busy, but he's smaller potatoes than The Rock for sure.
Sure.
What you got, Jordan?
I have 3 answers. Number 1 is going to be Ben Schwartz. I feel like we would just be friends with him. Like I feel like we would actually get along. And so I want to start a lifelong friendship with Ben Schwartz. So that's one of my answers. I think my answer number 2 is probably going to have to be Taylor Lautner. Just for the chef's kiss of it all, the full circle chef's kiss.
I would have so much anxiety.
The pure lull of it to have Carter have to interact with him would be great.
I would really love I would really love that. And then third is Amy Adams. She's my favorite actress, and I just don't feel like I know enough about her. I feel like she's more private than a lot of celebrities, and so I'd love to get a chance to just be like, what do you do? Like, wake up.
What do you like?
Wake up. What's your day?
What are things that you like?
You don't have work today. What does Amy do?
That's fun.
And we could also, a tease for tomorrow if you're talking about actors and actresses. Cardi B would be another one.
Yeah,
that would
man.
Cardi B.
be really interesting.
I mean, she would be
off a
great to have on a
career.
podcast for sure.
Fresh off a career-defining role as an undercover Interpol agent. I can't wait to see what she does next.
Guys, do we have is Lamentis, going back to Loki, is Lamentis a planet we need to know? Like, is this?
I don't think so.
Is this
No.
canon? Is there something?
it's
about
canon,
it?
I think it's
but
just
I don't think it'll ever come
like
back.
just a mining outpost.
Gotcha. Do you think we're going to see hand phase cannon lady from the South again from Lamentis?
No,
who
I
shot
liked
them
her though.
both?
I
She was
think
great.
the only way we see any of the people that we saw in this episode again is if Loki has enchanted Enchantress.
Oh yeah.
And we're gonna go through the events, like breeze montage through them. They're all gonna play out differently in real life, But other than that,
I
don't
love
think so.
when she blasted him, because that was my first thought. I was like, what if she gave him a fake name? What if she whatever? And so when she blasted him, I was like, that was nice. When the planet, okay, we're on a moon getting hit by a planet, or we're on a planet getting hit by a moon.
It's a planet. The moon is crashing into it. The orbit's been
I thought it was the
destabilized.
reverse. I thought we were on a
I
moon
did too.
that a planet was crashing into, is what it
I
sounded
think
like they said.
either. I mean, if they said that, then it's. I mean, gravitationally, the moon is crashing into the
Right.
planet. But if you're on the moon, it looks like the planet's moving
Now,
to you.
when the planet or moon, when whatever was about to hit split open, did you guys have a brief moment where you were like, giant kaiju, it's about to get Lovecraftian, giant kaiju?
No,
Dude,
no.
I did not.
I did for sure.
That would have been.
I was
quick.
like, when it split, I was looking for eyes or like hands that had split it open. Like I was
What if
like
that?
looking
What if
inside
that
the
had
crack.
been the Galactus reveal? Just a sleeper Galactus reveal
Just
of him
freaking
just
just
pulling the
drop it
planet
right
apart.
there.
Whoa.
Oh my!
I know they
And
probably
that's
have
why this
better
show
stuff.
sucks. That's why the show sucks, because I thought of that in like 2 seconds.
Now, legally,
It
I
made
have
me
to talk
think
about
of,
Zelda once per episode, and obviously, I got Major Majora's Mask vibes. But whatever.
Sure. Obviously.
The vibes that I got, it made me think of one of my favorite moments in one of the things that the MCU Infinity Saga did a great job of, starting at around Civil War, was having everyone fight, like seeing everybody on the same screen, which felt like the 2-page spread in a comic book of just the thing that you have to soak in for 45 minutes.
Yep.
But when Thanos is pulling the moon down,
Yeah.
and breaking the moon to throw on people, that's what
Yep.
this made me think of. But man, yeah, I was firmly in. I think this is the first time I've had a long time, and a long time basically meaning like, the MCU TV shows now we've had 16. This was like our 20th episode we've seen of the MCU TV shows. But this was the first time in a long time that I barely was like, oh yeah, surprised at how big of a budget they have.
Yeah.
It's like, this is clearly movie quality budget. Like everything that's happening right now would look the exact same. It's like one of the first times I ever saw a trailer for a new video game coming out, and then they made sure to let you know, hey, this is gameplay. Like this is it. This is actually what you're going to be experiencing. Loki, especially Lamentis episode, feels like a gameplay trailer.
I think
for the movies.
the movie budget is a huge piece of the conversation. I think that what I'm realizing is that I think Loki's the first time that Marvel actually has made a TV show. Because like with Falcon and the Winter Soldier, with WandaVision was its own weird little thing where it was like a couple of sitcoms up front and then about a 3-hour movie cut into thirds at the end.
Yeah.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier was a 6-hour movie. They paced it like a movie and then just cut it into 6 parts. Yeah. Loki is very, very much more episodic. It feels like this is the first time Marvel's actually painting with the TV show paintbrushes of like the end of the episode is when we get some big reveal, and like it's just so much more episodic. We get things like we would never have gotten in those other shows. We would never get this in a Marvel movie, but that the sequence of the planet getting destroyed at the end is all that single take True Detective style tracking shot. And like we would never get that in the Marvel movie.
Now,
But that's unique to TV, and so we did it because it's TV.
When Sylvie just walks away so abruptly, like the arc blows and Loki's just left looking at it while Sylvie walks away. I just thought that was so good. Like the ending of that episode of her frustration and him just kind of in awe of what just happened. Now, if it gets reversed because it was all an illusion or something, whatever, but just the way that all played out was really, really great there at the end.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That ending sequence was also almost my super pump.
It was very good.
If Sylvie hadn't been so good.
I think Sophia, I already forgot her full name.
DiMartino, I believe.
Sophia DiMartino. So playing Sylvie. I think that was a moment for me when she was walking away from the arc. That was I like one of my favorite things about her performance and this character is I don't have anything to compare it to. Meaning that's usually some of the first whiffs of someone being just unique and just leaning into that. And I think that's so exciting for the MCU is because that's not what you want.
Yeah.
Is to have somebody remind you of someone. I would imagine that's a fear of the production team of like, I don't want this to be people thinking of, and again, there are roles that people are inheriting. That's part of losing Iron Man is Peter Parker is like, but I can't be the new Iron Man.
Yeah.
You know, and we've seen him go through that narrative arc, but like literal actors and having someone being like, man, that really reminds me of Chris Hemsworth. Like, I don't think we ever, after Thor is out of the MCU, you can never go out and get another big burly blonde.
Right.
Yeah.
Without someone, and I think they have to be careful with that. And I think the bigger that the MCU gets, the more careful we have to be with our castings. And so
I think you're right.
Especially after getting to know about 50 characters, it feels like pretty well.
Jeez.
To bring one in that's new and feels new, phenomenal.
Yeah.
That doesn't feel like it's easy. And I want to make sure to give credit to the casting for her. I hope we see a lot more of her. I think we will. To end this episode, Doge, did you still want to have time to... Did you get to do your like?
Oh man, guessing? I've said lots of wild things this episode. I'm confident we can find at least one thing that will age really poorly. So I'm good.
Okay, great. To end this episode, Loki being a part of the TVA, or at least knowing how to maybe, I bet it's going to seem way more navigable to him than it did before he knew it existed. Duh. I'd love to have your name at the end of this episode, and I'd love to have you tell me. As we talk about Phase 4, where is Loki going to show up in Phase 4?
Mm-hmm.
Where else is he going to be? I'm Carter, and legitimately, I think there is something about the timing of Loki and it overlapping just a bit over Black Widow, and Black Widow being our very much we know in the past because, spoiler alert, she's gone. I think we're going to see Loki in a mid-credit scene or near the end. Or if we don't even see Loki, what if we have a moment in the mid-credit scene to where we have Natasha and she's just looking out and she's like looking at this strange kind of orange door, you know, and it's just like, we don't see who comes out of that or what, but we just see her face. But it's like, I don't know, because there's been talks too of, I don't think Scarlet was ready to be done.
Yeah.
Scarlett
So
Johansson.
what if she walks through that door and becomes a variant?
Yeah, could be.
There you go.
Yeah, she's not dead anymore. Yeah, that could work. I'm Doge, and my bold prediction is that Loki's going to be in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. He's going to be he's going to be on the good guy team, working to depose Mephisto, who is going to be in charge of the multiverse, and they're going to Loki's going to double cross him at the end and become king of the multiverse. Why not?
Why not go ahead and make that movie more?
Why not just be wild?
Make me anticipate that movie.
Be as wild as possible.
I'm Jordan, and I can't stop thinking about this. I started thinking about this about midway through last week. I think I love the idea of Loki with access to time travel and space travel as well, being the one who fulfills the somewhat Nick Fury role of this phase of going and finding people at the right time in order to warn them of something that's coming. Like finding the time that they will be most receptive to the news that Kang the Conqueror is trying to eliminate all timelines where he's not the ruler, or that Mephisto is weaving this web of whatever. Like the idea of Loki being accidentally tasked with
Yeah.
this like harbinger role of like giving everybody this heads up.
Almost a Silver Surfer vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh, that's juicy.
That is so juicy.
Like leading into an Avengers that's a multiverse war or something like
Mhm.
that. Yeah, that'd be cool. Very cool.
Someone say something funny. We usually have to end these episodes.
Yeah, I don't know.
Farts.
I got one. Hey, I got one. Why do ducks have tail feathers?
I don't know why.
Do you know why, Jordan?
No, it's just going to be dumb.
Well, ducks have tail feathers in order to cover their butt quacks.
That's pretty good.
Here's what's funny though. Legitimately, y'all broke out. Like, you know how I'm having a little connectivity issues right now?
So you don't know?
I don't even know.
You
I
still
don't know the punchline.
Hey, Carter, why do ducks have tail feathers?
I don't know.
To cover their butt quack.
No one really tries to be unsafe online,
Enter address for free tater tots.
but every time you give up info and privacy,
So I gave your birth date for free parking.
That's how I got this robe.
you may give up some safety too. Norton 360 with LifeLock has device security, a VPN for online privacy, and identity theft protection, all in one. No one can prevent all cybercrime or identity theft, but you can save 25% or more off your first year. Opt into cyber safety at norton.com/news.
This week at Macy's, find great summer style with big savings on head-to-toe looks. Like 40 to 50% off fresh outfits for him and her. The perfect sandals, sneakers, and more 40% off. And specials like bras and panties, $19.99 and under. Plus, Macy's Star Rewards members earn on every purchase, except gift cards, services, and fees. Sign up today at macys.com/star rewards. Savings off sale and clearance prices, exclusions apply.